Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as we talk a shocking, unbelievable swap deal potentially between Chelsea and Manchester United for Garnacho and Nkunku. And this is coming in from Fabrizio Romano. This is coming in from Pletigol. We'll talk about that. We've also got the latest on Dorgu, what is happening there, what's generally happening with Garnacho, because there was stories last night that a Chelsea bid is imminent and that United want to do that deal. We've also got Anthony, I think I've mentioned that as well. Wheatley has gone on loan as well. So lots to get into this morning as we approach the last 7 days of this transfer window. Also, still kicking off in a good way, I think, around PSR and why we are in such a bad situation. What I would say is that I'm hoping that we're going to drop a video a little bit later today at 2 o'clock that I would urge you all to watch. I don't really want to get into that conversation. We've done it a lot on the last few shows. I think this deserves a show of itself where it's very accessible and people who, you know, you can just get commenting with each other, listen to the show. We've got loads of good input on it and we can discuss why this situation is unacceptable and why people saying Ineos couldn't do anything if they wanted to are propaganda nonsense speakers. But let's talk about the transfers. I wish this was propaganda. I wish this wasn't true. Last night, Pletigol says Manchester United and Chelsea are considering a swap deal for Nkunku and Garnacho. There is no final decision as of now, but the possibility has been discussed. And Fabrizio Romano followed that up with Chelsea and Manchester United did have initial talks about a potential deal for Nkunku and Garnacho. Not a swap, but separate. Nothing is concrete at this moment in time. I mean, oh my God. If you were of the opinion that things could not get any worse, I think, you know, Friday night, just done a great show on the United Stands with you lovely, lovely people. And I'm there with a glass of wine, a few pretzels. I'm watching my TV series I'm watching at the moment. I'm not going to tell you because you'll ruin it. And then that drops on the phone and I go, oh my God. I mean, look, we can file it under it's a load of nonsense. But the bottom line is Fabrizio Romano gets good information. Whatever you think about Pletigol, and I think he is a little bit missed but hit, Fabrizio doesn't put stuff out like that unless it's happened. This cannot happen, right? This cannot happen. I've heard people saying Nkunku's injury list is like a Luke Shaw takeaway order. Now, I don't know what that means. It's probably fattest, actually, and that, which I hate. But the fact remains, getting, as much as I wouldn't say something like that, and I think it should be, you know, needs to be brought into the public so that we can all ridicule it as a horrible statement. The truth is, his injury record is ridiculous. Nkunku is 27. And as I said on Twitter last night, you know, this would be like, Garnacho is a young talent with potential who has a great injury record. And Nkunku is 27 with a terrible injury record. You know, that's like buying a brand new Ferrari and then knocking on your neighbour's door and saying, I'll swap it for your, well, not even a Rolls Royce. I mean, a scrapped up Lamborghini with no engine in it. I mean, yes, it's potentially a lovely car, but it's screwed. It's an absolutely terrible deal. Luke says he's perfect, and yet he's not, Luke. And I know it's all about opinion, and that's why I read yours out. But, mate, this is a 20-year-old with huge potential that we shouldn't be selling, and we're looking to sell on the cheap, for a 27-year-old who had potential 3 years ago, has absolutely blown that with injury. You know, and he ain't 21. I look at someone like Ousmane Dembele, and he did have a few injury issues between the age of like 19 and 22, and it's got better. But at 27, it gets worse. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. And the thing for me is, we won't do this deal, by the way, he says. We won't do this deal. But the fact that we've held talks yet again leads me to think that this structure that Manchester United have put in place is absolutely shit. And every warning that came from Nice is actually coming home to roost here. Just because somebody says we're assembling an elite footballing structure doesn't mean it's true. You know? Have you ever been lied to? Have you ever been lied to by politicians? Have you ever been lied to by club owners? Have you ever been lied to by managers, by players? Just because Ineos said they were going to construct an amazing football board doesn't mean that they actually have. And the fact that Fabrizio Romano is saying that we've held talks about a swap deal for Nkunku terrifies me. As much as it terrifies me that we're willing to double the value of Dorgu and keep negotiating. As much as it terrifies me that we took the best director of football in Europe, put him on gardening leave for 6 months, gave him the job and then sacked him after 5. It's terrifying, some of the things we are doing. Overpaying on deals again, leaving it till the end of a transfer window again, unable to sell players again, and holding talks about a swap deal with Nkunku. Incredible. Now, of course, where I would say is that it cannot be. What do you think about Joao Felix? We have been linked to Joao Felix as well. If I'm being completely honest, I think this is a load of shit as well. Man United have said, this is coming in from Give Me Sport. Man United have said to have got in touch with Joao Felix's agent ahead of a possible move for Chelsea. I mean, look, let me put it like this, as politely as I can. Joao Felix literally has had more clubs than Tiger Woods. I mean, he gets passed around like a pass the parcel. You know, amazing potential at Benfica, but hasn't realised it. And reminds me a lot of Griezmann, but Griezmann's had a better career, whereby was meant to be this amazing thing and it hasn't happened. And, you know, at what point do you look at Joao Felix and go, yeah, right, he's living off a reputation here that he hasn't actually been able to, you know, it's not like he's not training every day at all these clubs he plays for. He's 25. He's 26 this year. Like, if he's so good, why hasn't he shown that potential? And I'll tell you what this is. This reminds me of Everton selling somebody like Wayne Rooney for big money and getting Danny Ings. And then we're meant to go, yeah, but we're getting a good deal. That's what it is. It's like getting rid of a really good player. Put it this way. It would be like Newcastle saying, we're selling Isak to Arsenal, but we're getting Danny Ings in, who's got a great record and great potential. And that's what it is. Felix for Garnacho is Isak for Danny Ings. There's nothing wrong with Danny Ings. There's nothing wrong with Joao Felix. But let's not polish a turd and pretend that we're coming out of this with a better deal if we sell Garnacho and get Joao Felix. It's not a good deal. It's not a good deal. It's a risk on a player that's had loads of clubs and not fulfilled his potential. But he's going to come to Man United, who are in a shit position with low confidence, and he's gonna do really, really well. Yeah, not for me. Mike says that Joao Felix is better than Garnacho. Yeah, but it's just simply not true, mate. And me and you, Mike, we don't need to go head to head. The world of football, you're going to lose that debate because Garnacho's actually done stuff in the Premier League. He's actually put in good performances. Joao Felix has done nothing. And remember, this is not his first visit to the Premier League either. These are crap deals. These are crap deals that Man United are trying to do because we've got crap owners. And you know, some people can pretend that we don't, but we do. And if we want to swap anybody for Nkunku, Rashford. If you know, I saw last night that this would be more or less a straight swap because Chelsea value Nkunku at 70, but would do a discount for Garnacho that they value at 50. Hello? Have you looked at their age and injury record? There ain't no way Nkunku is worth 70 million at 27 with that injury record. Garnacho's worth more. So how's about we swap two 27-year-olds, Rashford for Nkunku? And I still think we're losing out. So, no way. Absolutely no way. Romano said it wouldn't be a swap deal anyway because let's just remember something else, which is really important. And I put this in our group last night. That swap deal makes no sense. Man United are looking to sell Garnacho for PSR reasons. They want money into the club that they don't want to put in. That's why they're selling Garnacho. They want the cash. This ain't nothing to do with let's do a swap deal for a player that we think's better. This is nothing to do with selling a player that we want to sell. This is the only player we can get money for at this moment in time, and we want money. this is a fire sale. So we won't be doing any swap deal, whether it be Osman or Nkunku. Financially, that would make absolutely no indentation at all on what we're doing this for, which is because we need money desperately. So Romano is right. If we did a deal with Chelsea, and Chelsea are, and look, I posted a tweet today about what Todd Bowley did to get money into that football club. Chelsea are the masters of, they need to do stuff for PSR as well. They just don't shit themselves like we do and start crying poverty. Chelsea are brilliant at working that. So we would never do a straight swap. It would be, they give us... It's like what they've done. Remember Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, Everton in the summer? They did that carousel of young players going for like £30 million each that you'd never heard of. It's all about PSR. And Chelsea are the masters of getting money into that football club. So they wouldn't swap a deal. They wouldn't do a swap deal anyway. They'd probably, it would be cash going in on the books. So, but it's a terrible deal. It's a terrible deal. And, I jokingly said on Twitter last night, it's Jim Radcliffe, a Chelsea fan then. He tried to buy them, and we seem to be helping Chelsea out quite a lot at the moment, taking their shit and giving them good players or giving them money. But look, this hopefully is a smokescreen. Hopefully it's a load of shit. But you know what? I genuinely wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't, but it makes no sense to me. And if Chelsea did that, then what's that all about? In other news, Manchester United expect Chelsea to submit an official bid for Garnacho any moment. And this is significant. This is a star, and this is coming in from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United expect Chelsea to submit an official bid for Garnacho any moment. Now, remember, where we are this morning is with just about a week ago, just about a week to go, is that we have sold nobody. Anthony is in Spain. If you care about that, well done. I mean, it's just a loan deal. He'll be back in the summer. Doesn't really do anything. Rashford is still waiting for God knows what. And Garnacho is still the way Man United are looking to get money into the club so they can go and overpay on Dorgu and everyone else like that. So that's where we are this morning. And in relation to Garnacho, this is no longer an unhappy sale for many of us to Italy and Napoli. They're looking at Adeyemi now because they can get him cheaper than Garnacho. So we're now in a position where, yes, Man United want to sell Garnacho, but the only viable deal at the moment is to sell him to Chelsea, which I say and think those words, and I think, how did we end up here? How did we end up in a situation where, regardless of what you think about Garnacho, and obviously many of us do appreciate the potential and the talent there, at what point did Man United become a selling club, and at what point did Man United become a selling club to a rival? It's disgraceful. It's shameful. The pathway Ineos are taking us down is not the pathway anybody wanted, and I think that what I find surprising is that they can tell us that going down this route, they can only do these things. We don't have to like the route they're taking. Many other football fans of many other football clubs don't like the route their ownership is going down and do things about it. I don't understand why we're not. I don't understand why we're just going, oh, well, this is what they want to do. I mean, who are they? Who are they? The facilitators of an organisation that has destroyed our football club. That's who they are. We don't have to like the route. And to be honest with you, unless you're wearing a bloody blindfold, what would you like about the route? I think some people have got a blindfold on and aren't listening and going, wake me up when everything's good with Ineos. And you're like, yeah, you lived a good life. You died at 99, but we never woke you up because it never got any better. Look at what's going on and tell me why you like this pathway we're going down. The debt is still here. It's crippling the football club, as we know. But we are selling assets to rivals. I mean, this is like bloody... I can't think of anybody doing this. This is like Sol Campbell going from Spurs to Arsenal, but he pushed the move. Like, we're doing it ourselves. This is like Spurs knocking on the door to Arsenal and going, we need money. Do you want Sol Campbell? Which is not what happened. Look, I think because we live in a world where some people prioritise player FC over the club, we do have some people who are going, look, we need the money. I don't really like Garnacho. Let's do the deal. But the core principle of the symbolisation is we're knocking on the door of rivals to sell our better players. That's disgraceful. I mean, that there are fan bases out there that would be literally protesting about that. Like, there'd be banners and everything. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, and I don't know whether anyone can explain this. I don't know what it is that has completely given some of our fans amnesia about who owns the football club still, the Glazers, and also has given Ineos, you know, this protection shield from doing these things as well. It's like we've given up. I don't get it. It's like we've given up. We were trying to get the Glazers out because of a fucking Super League. We're now looking to sell assets and sack people and increase ticket prices, and everyone's going, well, let's see how this goes. I mean, bloody hell. If you can't see the way this is going to go, it's incredible. But, you know. But you know what? Alpha says because must are eating good. Look, I don't have any evidence on this at all, but I genuinely think in life, the way to deal with people that might be a problem is to invite them in for a drink and a chat. And, you know, offer them a piece of cake. There are people at Man United who represent Man United on fan forums and this, that and the other. And I think they quite like the status of that because they've been invited in. But what's happening in there, you know, how do you sleep at night? You know, what this football club is becoming. It's all right having these relationships with Manchester United and, you know, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? But sometimes you've got to retract yourself from this and go, you know what? What's happening at this football club and what's been happening at this football club for a long time is, you know, unacceptable. And, you know, we've had the conversations, we've never got anywhere. Like, it's time. They never answer the questions that need to be asked as well. Like, the communication is terrible. I mean, I read that letter from Ineos again today, and it was like, if anyone's got any ideas, let us know. Yeah. Get someone to sponsor the stadium and call it Old Trafford supported by, you know, Elon Musk. It's money into the club instead of selling a player. Like, I've got 101 ideas of getting money into the club if you want them, and so's everybody else. You're not really listening. You're doing what you think's best, and it's not going to work. I think if it was Mainu, there would be mayhem, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, and I think it's a great point, Robert. And, you know, if you tolerate this, then Mainu will be next. That's not the words of the Manic Street Preachers. Theirs was, if you tolerate this, then your children will be next. If you tolerate this with Garnacho, then Mainu will be next. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, did Chelsea stop at selling homegrown players when they realised it was an easy way to get cash in? And the reason people want to buy young players never gets discussed as well. You know, the reason people want to sell people like Garnacho and Mainu and Conor Gallagher, the reason clubs want to sell them is because they're pure profit. But it's not because they're a young player. It's because they fucked up on other transfers. Delot is pure profit, not from the youth, but he's been here long enough that his amortisation has gone. Whatever we paid for Delot over whatever contract it was, we paid it off. So Delot is a pure profit sale. Nobody wants him. Harry Maguire's pure profit. Too old, nobody wants him. There's no value there. The reason people sell the young players is not... This needs saying, right? There is this myth that clubs are selling young players because they have a magical value. It's not true. They have the same value as any other player that's had their contract used up. The reason clubs sell young players is because other clubs want them because they are valuable. That's what it's all about. There's this myth that we sell young players because, you know, they're young. It's not. It's because they're valuable. People want them. That's why they do it. And that's why clubs are doing it more and more. And you know what? When you've done it once, you won't stop. We'll do it again and again and again. That's why it's symbolic to many people. Mark, surely as a community we can do something to get these rats out, says JB. I don't understand. You can see it, we can see it, but owners can't see how bad these rumoured deals are. What is Barada doing? He's meant to have a reputation of doing good deals. What's happened, says Johnny. Well, you know, Johnny makes a good point. Barada, Wilcox, they're involved in these conversations. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing as a CEO or a technical director that Fabrizio Romano is putting it out there that you held talks about a swap with Nkunku. I mean, that is embarrassing. It is. This is partly due to new debt coming for this new stadium. We are cutting losses to make a new loan affordable. It's scary, says MD. Yeah, the stadium will kill us, by the way. It will. There is no way that we can fund that. People talk about let's knock Old Trafford down and build a £2 billion stadium. How the hell are you paying for it? We're not owned by Qatar, who are going to build it themselves. We're not owned by Qatar, who are going to clear the debt. We're owned by the Glazers, who will never put any of their own money in, and we're already up to our arse in debt anyway. Neck. Some people talk out their arse, you know what I mean? That's what I mean, arse. We need Glazers and Ineos out before stadium build, or we'll be paying more debt for the next 20 years, says Dazzo. Hi Mark, been watching for a while, love the United stand. Why can't Man United say publicly that none of our star players are for sale? Because they don't want to, Kian, because they've already put it out there publicly twice in the last 6 months that everybody's for sale. Out of curiosity, says Rory C, if United set up a GoFundMe now, how much do you think would be generated? Would you support that, leaving aside how embarrassing it would be? Rory, I would put money into a GoFund for Manchester United. I think a lot of people would. I just wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want the people who spend it to have it. And it goes back to, I think loads of people would put their money into Manchester United, but I wouldn't want Sir Jim or Joel Glazer anywhere near it. That's the problem. So we go back to the point again. The big problem at Man United is the ownership. There's lots of people that want to put money into Man United and would be willing to do it, but we're going down a path of no return, and it's solely is it solely the PSR issue, says D1. Look, I'm doing a video. It's going to go out at 2 o'clock today. There's no point. We can have these conversations about PSR, FFP in the future, but we're going to just do a 10-minute video about the detail. There's a lot of research gone into it. It's going to drop at 2 o'clock today. You can put your thoughts in, and we'll open it up accessibly as a conversation like we should do. And, we'll cut through some of the crap. There are grey areas, but we'll just focus on some of the facts, and we'll open up that conversation because it needs to fly as its own piece. So we'll do that. Hi, Mark. Trying to become a new member, but join button isn't working, says Caitlin. I've got no idea, mate. I don't work for YouTube. I don't know how that works. You might live in an area where you can't do it. Anyone else thinking about the fact that Garnacho already agreed personal terms, says the masked. Well, it's not a fact, and he hasn't. American Chelsea fans are running United, says Keel Robinson. Duke Christopher, welcome to the Members Club. We sold Elanga for what? Nottingham in Champions League. Guess what's going to happen with Garnacho? Yeah, well, Tom, we sold Elanga because people wanted to sell Elanga as well, and he's gone on and done well. Great show, as always, pal. Hope you're well. Is there any more news on Quenda? I'm going to talk about Dorgu in a moment, so I can bring that into that, Blakey. With dividends, share sales, management fees and debt, Glazer tenure has resulted in over 1.3 billion going out of the club. I know, it's incredible, AB. Luke Shaw to leave Man United this summer as United line up his replacement Nkunku to accompany Mount in the physio room. How have they not learned from Mount is beyond me, says Sarvish. We won't do the Nkunku deal, but it's the fact that Romano is saying we held talks that terrifies me. What happened to selling Garnacho to get 4 or 5 players? They're swapping players. What a disgrace. His name. What are we? Chelsea trash can, says John. Patrick Lynch, good morning. Hi, Mark. Patrick says, what are our scouts doing? What happened to the 5 principles of transfers that was so well publicised during the summer? Are they really incompetent? Says Patrick. This is MD says that as well. Right, I'm going to talk about Dorgu, but Netflix and Chilwell says if we it's playing up again. Sorry, it's just moving past chats here. It's very difficult to do this. Has anyone had I don't get it on any other site, but when I'm on YouTube, it just slows down all the time and then it will crash. And I thought it was my laptop, but it works fine on every other thing, and it's doing it again now. Right, I'll come back to that. Dorg, Netflix and Chilwell, get ready. We will come back to your comment. Right, where are we with Dorgu this morning? Because we've updated on Garnacho. Actually, there was one more thing I wanted to say about Garnacho as well. Calling Paul Hurst in the Times. Garnacho is available to leave Man United if the club receive an offer of 60 million from Chelsea or any other club. That was from last night from the Times. Paul Hurst in there. Manchester United will let Garnacho go if they get an offer of 60 million from Chelsea or any other club. I mean, that is, I'm sorry, but that's news, and this is a news show, and that is something that's very difficult to, again, comment on, I've got to be honest, because I don't understand that. I really don't. I think that, I think £60 million is undervalued in January. I don't really understand it. Why are we Everton Football Club? With all due respect to Everton, why are we so desperate? Why are we so badly run? You are negotiating for a left back where Lecce are increasing his value in front of our eyes by 50%, and then we are willing to sell to a Premier League rival for 25% under the value of a player in January. It's almost like Chelsea are doing us a favour. I just do not get it. I really don't. And that's coming from Paul Hurst in the Times. So it's not, it's almost like if they keep saying it, we'll get used to it. And we're not going to get used to it. The symbolisation of this, let's not forget as well, we will never forget that at the start of February, we as Man United fans remember the Busby Babes. And the Busby Babes are something that symbolises Manchester United's focus on developing youth talent that has endured for decades. And a week or so before it, we're looking to sell a young talent that hasn't realised its potential for undervalue. So Matt Busby would literally be fuming. That is not what we do at Man United. We're the club that develops the talent. We don't send it off to a rival to realise it. And that is something that Ineos and the Glazers are willing to do within a couple of weeks of us remembering the Busby Babes. They have no shame. They literally are not, and the hardest thing is they're literally tone deaf. They're not listening. They're cutting charity payments to ex-players' charities. They're sacking people. They're increasing ticket prices. And now they're doing this. They are tone deaf. And it's the arrogance of that irritates. You've got Sir David Brailsford. What do you know about football, mate? Sat there with a serious face. That doesn't mean you know what you're on about, by the way, Mr. Serious Face. Sat there with a serious face doing his strategic review on a football club he wouldn't know if it bit him on the arse. A football club isn't an Excel spreadsheet, mate. It's a lot more than that. Do your bloody history. Read about the football club and what it means. And stop, shitting on its soul. That's what you're doing. It's disgraceful. Rest in peace, Man United, says Andy Atherton. My club is dying and we're helpless. No such thing as a free lunch as well. If you know, you know. And Andy gifted a membership. Thanks for the show. And Nkunku has a horrible injury record. I think we should stay clear. Mount all over again, says JHP. Look, Nkunku's a good player, but at 27, at that price, with that injury record, forget about it. Joe says, terrible deal. Have United not learnt from the Mount deal? Why did we enter every window like this? There is only one player on the entire planet that can make you better. Should be negotiating with 4 or 5, says Avi. Good morning, Mark. Currently watching from Chicago at 4 a.m. Love the content. Thank you very much, KJ. Hope you're doing well. Have you seen the Rashford Barcelona news this morning, says John? I haven't, so it must be coming in from somewhere shit. If we signed Garnacho, here we go, Netflix and chill, well, get ready. If we signed Garnacho right now from a club like Napoli, we would be paying a 20-year-old with potential to get better. We'd be praising Sir Jim. That's how we know it's wrong. Look, Netflix and chill, well, it was well worth the wait. If Manchester United were in a better position and we were third in the league and we had a bit of money in our pocket, like Arsenal or Man City, and Garnacho at 20 was at Brighton, and he'd done what he'd done in the last 2.5 years, and he'd scored that overhead kick, and he'd had a few caps for Argentina, and he'd looked exciting for Brighton, and Man United had the money, and we wanted to get him in January because we knew that Real Madrid or Barcelona or Man City or Chelsea wanted him in the summer, and we knocked on the door. What price do you think Garnacho, based on what he's done in the last 2.5 years, if he was at Brighton and we wanted to buy him in January, what price do you think they would go for? And I'm telling you now, the bidding starts at 100 million. And that's another thing that frustrates me, is that people are manipulating this market because they want Dorgu. Oh, sell him for 50 million, get the money, we can spend 900 million. Well, we can't. He would be easily 80 million north at Brighton, even though it's the same player. And therefore, we're selling undervalued. I think they'd go. I think they'd want 100. Love this club, but if we sell Garnacho, I'll be at the end of my rope. Selling talented youth is a new low for us. Keep up the good work, Mark, says Wade. They're ripping the Manchester out of Manchester United, says Mondo. And here's Genius Glazonomics, says 80. United Stand borrows 60 million for Garnacho and sells him for 80 to 100 to Real Madrid in the summer. Thank you, 80. And if Dazzo says, if we weren't trying to sell Garnacho, would you be more happy with Dorgu deal for 34 million? No. It's a fair question. Look, talking about Dorgu then, I like the player. I don't know where the money's coming from. I presume it's coming from a sale of Garnacho, but maybe they're going to find the money somewhere else. So I don't know how they're going to do that, by the way. But we need to buy so many players. We need so many players. And as much as I like Dorgu, there is a price point where it becomes a no. Because, one, we cannot be ripped off anymore. And two, we need to buy more. So if you need to buy 5 players and you overpay on your first one, you're struggling to even get the next ones in. So, as I've said, Dorgu might be a future top 5 player in the world. But there'll be another left back out there that's a future top 20 player in the world. Get him. Go for the cheaper one, because I don't need the best left back in the world. That's not going to make Man United great again. What I need is 6 or 7 players that are decent, that can make us a better team. I don't need to blow and overpay on a player that has potential to be world, a superstar, because he ain't going to make Man United great again. I need to build a team. I don't need people telling me, well, Dorgu's got potential to be a superstar. I don't need a superstar. I need a good left back. And value for money is very important, because I also need a good striker. I also need a good midfielder. I also need a good winger. I also need another good winger. I also need a good number 10. So I actually just need volume of quality. I don't need to overpay on some and then be told he's got potential, because I've been told that loads of times before. And also, when you overpay, if they don't fulfill that potential, we get stuck with them for 5 years and have to take a loss on them as well. So I don't want to overpay. The price is ridiculous, but we will pay it. We will pay it, because what else are we going to do? We're slow on deals, and we've only got a week, so we can't pivot. I can't believe I'm bringing the word pivot back. I thought pivot was the word of summer 2024. We can't pivot now to another deal, because we've only got a week left, and if you pivot now to another left back, they'll go, well, you bid 30 million euros for Dorgu, so the price is 40 for us as well. So it's too late. It all comes down to how late we've done it and how publicly we've done it, and basically we're backed into a corner. So we will buy Dorgu, and we're just going to have to get behind the player, because the deal is going to be ridiculous. But we can't go anywhere else now, unless we do the Alvaro Fernandez deal, which we don't seem to want to do. So, look, we are paying the price again, because we do deals in publicly, we overpay and we leave it late. So there's nowhere else to go now. What we should have done is, on 1st of January, spoken to Lecce, they'd have told us 40 million and we'd have gone no and moved on to something else. But we didn't. We left it to the last week. We told the world, they rejected us, and now there's only one winner in this game. Lecce have got us by the balls and they're twisting. And United are screwed. We've got nowhere to go. We have to pay what they want to pay. And what we've got now is, we've already offered a very good price of 30 million euros. They've asked for 40. I guarantee you they're sat there going, we're very happy with 30 million euros, but because we've gone 40, we'll still get a few more out of them. They'll be over the moon with 30 million euros. They'll be over the moon. It's their biggest transfer fee in their history by a long way. But they can still push for more. They won't get 40 million euros. They've just said 40 million euros because it's 10 million off what we've offered. We'll meet in the middle. They earn another 5 million euros. They get 35 million euros for a player that's worth 20. So they've absolutely done us, and they will do us, and we will do that deal. Luke Jones, I'll go and find it. I thought I'd seen it, Luke. I remembered reading yours. It's moving quicker now, so I'll definitely find it. Luke. Joy writing. Stephen, Ashworth and Glazers 2.0 makes sense now. This is Stephen Gillespie. Idea for a new TV show. Jim won't fix it. That's from Andy Atherton. Avram and Joel look like people who would say, why does our coach never call any timeouts? Says Ji-Sung Park. We need a left-back recall, Alvaro Fernandez, already, says Kian. Just dreamt that United won the Champions League and got relegated, says Lad. Yeah, that's not happening. Mark, is there a chance we could sign Barcola? And also is there a chance Qatar could come back in the summer? No and no. Jules, that was from Man U fan. Jules Jones has gifted 5 membership this morning. Absolute legend, mate. TV show, what are your thoughts on Liam Delap as our striker? We've got to be able to afford it first, mate. We'll have to sell... Well, yeah, let's sell Mainu to get Delap. That'd be a good idea. Dan says, if Glazers are Glazenos are trying to cut costs and maximise return, it seems counterintuitive to spend it carelessly on transfers. Likely they're trying to generate hype and new players creates excitement, says Dan. Mark, could the Glazers put $1 billion in that they have taken out to get over FFP if they wanted to get us out of this problem, says Tony. Mate, there are football clubs like Leicester and Nottingham Forest whose owners are converting debts into shares, which for PSR purposes means that they can spend more money. Kieran Maguire was on about this with Leicester last night, and Forest have done this over the last month. Qatar were going to clear the debt in one day. There are people out there saying that Ineos can't do anything about PSR. Well, why can other clubs clear debts just like that, but apparently Ineos can't? So the answer to your question, Tony, is that they could clear the debt tomorrow and PSR would work a lot better because we wouldn't be paying 60 million a year in interest payments. Berardo wasn't a football guy at City, he was commercial, says Luke Jones. Had a hand in deals where players had huge commercial potential, but Begiristain was the football guy. United wanted him for the sponsorships, not to focus on the football. Interesting from Luke there. Well done. Thank you very much. The Gaming Panda says, Ineos out, selling young talent and maybe ruining our future is disgusting. It'll be Mainu next. We're a football club, not a business. They're evil. Well, remember, at the start of the month, it was Mainu. All they said was that it would be in the summer. They planted that seed at the start of the summer through David Ornstein and other journalists. Mainu out of the club. That's there. That's not a myth. That's not a rumour. That came out from good sources at the start of the month that Mainu could be next. Thank you for the mental support, says Connor, you give me when watching Man United. Thank you, Connor. I hope you're well. Morning, Mark. We owned by Chelsea fans, wanted them now selling Garnacho to them. It's not a coincidence, delusional unicorn. If we're trying to sell Garnacho, we'd have done that one from Dazzo. That's Glazonomics. Love this club, but if I've done that one from Weld. Score predictions for Fulham. I'm doing the preview later, Constantine. Can Liam Delap be a good striker for us as TV show? We do not sell to buy for those who justify this, says Tyrone. Let's not forget, Sir Jim tried to buy Chelsea and also had a season ticket. Is it a coincidence, says Nicholas? Well, you know what? As really basic as that is, let me just read that again. If you have a season ticket at a club where you live, but you support Manchester United, but you have a season ticket at a rival because it's where you live, and you go and watch that rival, and presumably you enjoy it because you're paying for it. You then try to buy that rival, but Todd Boehly gets it. So you buy a little bit of your boyhood club. And at your boyhood club, you're looking to do deals and favours and reductions for the club that you had a season ticket for. I'm just throwing the maths out there. I'm just throwing the scenario out there. Is there an emotional connection to Chelsea for Sir Jim Radcliffe? Yes, quite clearly. Why are we selling Chelsea players of bigger value? I don't know. Maybe he has a soft spot for Chelsea. I don't know. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. I'm saying maybe he has a soft spot for Chelsea. I mean, he tried to buy them. He had a season ticket holder. He was a season ticket holder there. Maybe he just is like, if we're going to sell them anywhere, let's sell them to Chelsea. I don't know. Did you see the story about the Glazers not teaming up with United for their... mate, Dazzo, I don't know whether this is a joke in the live chat, but seriously, this has been asked about 9 times in the last 3 days, and I've answered it every single time. I did see the story about the Glazers not wanting Man United players to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facilities when they visited Manchester. But I've also said that I think it's a load of nonsense because if Man United players haven't got the intelligence to Google and look at those pictures, they don't need to go there. I just find that story ridiculous. I mean, I don't like the Glazers, but the Glazers wouldn't let Man United visit Tampa so they couldn't see the facilities. Google fucking Tampa's facilities, you'll see it. You probably can even have a tour. It didn't make any sense. Glazers and Bowley doing backroom deals, says Abby. We'd be better off with Todd Bowley in charge. Jim's falling off the rat's cliff, says Inu. And if we didn't have Prats as owners, Fernandez is the player to get. He's not even potential. He's actually performing, says Trey. And with Ashworth gone, I believe the Glazers have taken more control. Glazers out, says Kevin. Luke Jones, I've read that. Don't worry about the Barada point, was very, very good. I don't think the Glazers have taken more control. I think we have client journalism around Man United that for whatever reason, the journalists around Man United don't want to put the truth out there. And I think the truth is that the Glazers own the football club and Joel Glazer's still involved every day. It's funny to me how 2 years ago, certain journalists would write Joel Glazer's very hands-on and nothing happens at that club unless he says so. There was even a journalist that jokingly said, if Man United wanted to buy some toilet cleaner for £5, Joel Glazer would have to sign it off. So Joel Glazer was involved in absolutely everything. And since Ineos have come in, we don't know what he does. So those journalists know people who know what Joel Glazer does, but now they don't put it out there. And that's what client journalism is. It's manipulated. And I think they won't put the truth out there because the minute you do, you probably get, yeah, you're not having that interview. Yeah, you didn't help us out. We're not giving you the information. We'll give it to The Athletic and we'll give it to somebody else, but we're not giving it you because you did that thing about that and we don't like that. And that goes on. That definitely goes on. Because Joel Glazer never went away. Joel Glazer loves being involved in Man United and he's still there. What if Joel Glazer was the guy who said we're doing the ticket prices, but Ineos, you will take the blame for it? What if Joel Glazer was the guy that said let's sack Dan Ashworth? And Ineos got voted down. You know, some stupid things have happened that as a new owner you wouldn't want your fingerprints on, but you don't own the club. People say, oh, the Glazers did this, Ineos did this, Ineos did that. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the owners of the football club did. Right, watch out for the video that's coming in at 2 o'clock. It's really important that you watch it. It's really important that you get your comments on it. And it's really important that you share it. It's going to be big. If you want to do something for Man United, it's a small step, but we need to start having the conversation we're going to have at 2 o'clock. So don't miss it. Share it. Get your comments in on it. Really important. It's step one. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you at 2. Take care.